We're gonna read a little bit of Heroes by Alan Gratz, and we're just gonna read the first um I'm chapter. It's I think it's by sections, but this one says part one, and then it says before. And we're gonna start off uh, with the arsenal of democracy. And it has a date, so it's Saturday, December 6th of 1941. So this is back then. It's an attack, Stanley cried. Enemy airplanes, dozen of them, coming in low over the water. They're shooting machine guns, I added, turning in my seat. Dropping torpedoes. Fire, explosions, sharpener everywhere, Stanley said. The water around us was sparkling mirror, the sky bright blue without a cloud or a plane in sight. My best friend Stanley Summers and I were sailing across Pearl Harbor in our little aluminum motorboat, headed home from the baseball practice. Stanley was steering and I was sitting facing him. We were talking out a story idea for the superheroes we were creating together. I was the writer and Stanley was the illustrator. I was going to be the greatest comic book ever. It was going to be the greatest comic book ever. Sorry. And flying up there to meet them, I went on, is Harwalk, protector of the innocent, guardian of freedom. He smashes one plane in his fist and uses his heat vision to destroy another. Bullets ping off his chest. Wait, Frank, Stanley cut in. Warhawk has too many superpowers. I paused, confused. What do you mean? I asked. He's got as many powers as Superman. Superman's a cheat, Stanley said. He's super strong and super fast, and he can fly. He has x ray vision and super hearing and super breath. It's boring. He shook his head. Our characters should have one superpower, like how Captain America has super strength or the Flash has super speed. I leaned forward in my seat. Oh, come on, I said. You're telling me you'd rather be Captain America than Superman? Heck yeah, Stanley said. He took off his he took his hand off the tiller and to give me a crisp salute. Star and stripes, baby. Wouldn't it be amazing to get super soldier serum? I wanted to say yes, but Steve Rogers hadn't known what that super soldier serum was going to do to him before he took it. What if it had killed him or turned him into a monster? I wouldn't have taken that risk, not even one chance to be Captain America. But I wasn't going to admit that to Stanley. I held it tight to the sides of the boat as Stanley steered us forward towards Ford Island. A light breeze wafted the smell of pineapple and sugarcane across the bay, and the palm trees along the shore swayed. Somewhere a radio played the soft planky sounds of Hawaiian ukulele music. In some ways, it felt like someone had already slipped me in the super soldier serum. I had grown 12 inches in the last year. Now, a 13-year-old, I was taller than my mom. I was like one of those Charles Atlas ads you saw in the back of comics. Send for this free book and go from scrawny grunt to Greek god in just 3 months. Only I didn't feel like a Greek god. I was always tripping over my own big feet, and I felt clumsy and awkward in my new body. Stanley was the opposite. He was comfortable in his skin with his casual confidence, and I tried to copy, but could never quite get it right. Like his clothes? While I wore a t-shirt and rolled up jeans like most boys our age, Stanley stood out in his white shorts, oversized aloha shirts with bright red flowers. He didn't do his own thing, and I don't worry that anybody thought of him. Stanley and I looked different in other ways. I was white, with skin that turned pink from sunburn, blue eyes, and wavy light brown hair. Stanley was a cross. Stanley was a cross between his Japanese American mom and his white dad, with tan skin, dark brown eyes straight black hair. But we were brothers forever and always, thanks to our love for comic books. How sold are you on the name Warhawks? Stanley asked, pulling me out of my thoughts. Not particularly, I said. We've taken his name from the type of fighter plane my dad flew in the Navy, but I never loved it. I made our hero sound like he was. It made our hero sound like he was always looking in for a fight. You got any other ideas? I asked Stanley. No, he said. You're the writer. I was hoping you had something. I thought it was. I thought about it, and I looked across the water, bringing Pearl Harbor like a stone sentinels, where those steel gray battleships and cruisers and destroyers that made up U.S. Pacific Fleet, all enjoying a lazy Saturday afternoon in port. The big ships have the big ships gave me an idea. I turned towards Stanley, feeling a rush of excitement. How about the arsenal of democracy? I said. It was something I had heard President Roosevelt call the United States on the radio. There was a war happening overseas. Adolf Hitler, the evil leader of Nazi Germany, was trying to conquer all Europe and maybe the world. Hitler had made it a pact with Italy and Japan to form the Axis power. Great Britain, Russia, China, and most of the other countries in the world, the Allies, were fighting against the Axis. But so far, America has stayed out of the war. We still wanted to help, so the US had come the arsenal of democracy, cranking out the ships and planes and tanks and guns to loan to the Allies. I don't know, said Stanley. It's kind of wordy. Stanley's lack of enthusiasm took some of the wind out of my sails, but I wasn't ready to give up. It's like the Sentinel of Liberty, I argued, knowing how much Stanley loved Captain America's nickname, and we could call our character Arsenal for short. Okay, yeah, Stanley said, smiling as he came around, and maybe he uses a shield just like Cap. Something like this. Stanley pulled a pencil and paper from his pocket and started sketching, which was a bad idea because he was the one driving the boat. And that's the end of that part. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in.